I'm Uche Okafor, and I'm the country manager for Taxify in Nigeria. A lot of you actually know me as Uche from Taxify. I know many of us right now can't check your emails without seeing a mail from Uche of Taxify. I know that there are questions from your minds right now. Are you really Uche from Taxify? Is there really an Uche from Taxify? Maybe Taxify made up this myth, used the very popular Nigerian name to actually drive brand awareness. And we get those questions all the time, we get those comments all the time. But I can tell you for a fact that Uche from Taxify is a real entity, that Uche from Taxify has now transitioned from one person to a group of young Nigerians who have been inspired by technology and basically now want to actually change the way people move around. We see that guys are actually doing great stuff in tech. We see that people are actually unveiling innovative products every day, day by day. But we want to actually see this passion, we want to actually see this also replicated in governance. And that is what we're going to be discussing today. So basically, I'm actually going to talk about like my early years. I basically travel home for holidays, and my uncles basically would ask, "Oh, Uche, come. What course are you even reading in school?" And I say, "Agric engineering." "Uncle, I'm an engineer." And he said, "In agric?" And they don't understand. They actually do not understand. And basically, he actually got to us back then in school because we every day we go to like lectures, and the lecturers are actually telling us different things. They're telling us, oh, actually how you're going to drive like the future agric revolution. And now you get outside and you're seeing different stuff. Like when we were 100 level, we basically made friends in with some guys in 500 level, and they left, and we got to 300 level, and we saw like 30% of those guys that we knew come back in school to do masters in a different field entirely. So what that actually told us that, oh yeah, guys, man, out there on the streets is actually tough. So people basically do not actually regard agric engineering as much. There is no opportunity for agric engineers here. So I and my friend, basically, we got back, we analyzed the whole setup, and we said, agric engineering, basically, you're supposed to actually be engineers driving the agric revolution. So definitely you're supposed to utilize tech in driving agric. But right now in our society, focus is on agriculture. And we thought about it and we said, oh yeah, since tech actually drives agric, and we're basically just been focusing on agric here, why don't we focus on tech? Because just as it's supposed to drive agric, tech is also like capable of actually driving so many different sectors. And that's what we did. We actually made a decision to actually go into tech after school, and I for one followed through. After service or day service, I wrote for so many certifications in networking, got certified in networking, transitioned to information security, and then spent 4 years as an information security consultant. Then the Taxify opportunity came, and that was another opportunity for tech now to influence the way people move around. And I was basically sold by the vision. So I joined up, and also I wanted to show like the picture of like this of how we were at the very beginning. So it was just 4 guys basically bundled up in like a 10 square meters room. So we had like the typical startup story. It wasn't that, oh, Taxify actually came in and we started to do wonders. No, actually, we actually grew it from beginning. 3 guys bundled up in like a 10 square meters room, doing great things. So we basically had this feeling like mothers, you know, when you give birth and you watch like your child basically come of age. That was the same feeling that we have now anytime we look back to this image. We've seen the things that tech has basically allowed us to do. So yeah, you can basically see how tech has inspired young people. We see news about the tons of money that tech startups have been able to raise. We see news of Taxify actually raising funds inspired by the vision of a 19-year-old guy at that time. And also we've seen conversations driven by young people on social media, and we've seen the results that those conversations have been able to actually get. So we basically have seen from my story 2 keywords basically, and that is young and tech. How tech basically influenced like my history. So we see young and tech. Then from the topic of the day, we basically want to see how tech can actually bridge young people and governance, which is at an all-time low. So let's talk about young people. You basically can see from the picture that, yeah, they're happy, very excited people, very innovative. Like an average Nigerian youth is relentless, is innovative, is creative, wants to do stuff. We can see that they actually emphasize on self. That means an average Nigerian youth basically wants to have the question, what's the need for me, answered. They basically are open to opportunities. They want like the basic amenities for like their creative side to be expressed. They desire to belong in a community. They prioritize access over ownership. And that's why you basically see a lot of young people comfortable with the sharing economy, Airbnb, a Taxify. They basically prioritize access over ownership. And then, and so what are these guys? These are like young people under the ages of 35. We like to call them millennials. And most of them are familiar with technology. Most of them are actually born into technology. How many of us were familiar with the Y2K phenomenon back then? I know I was. And way back in school, we were basically scared. You will see like your teachers, okay, Y2K is coming. Y2K is coming. And we were saying, is it the end of the world? And we say, go on Google and actually like and search. And you will see us maybe go online. But when I say go online, it wasn't one person to one PC as you have now. It was like 20 students to one computer looking at it and finding out stuff. And so now we know that that Y2K bug was actually like that transition period to when tech basically hits turbo mode. So now you see that tech is actually moving at a rapid pace, basically. And we as youths, basically, we've been born into that age, we're comfortable with it. You basically have some of us here in this room who were one of the first set of guys to get on Twitter, one of the first set of guys to actually get on Facebook, one of the first set of guys to get on Instagram, because we are actually born into this age. And so we have like this youthful population, above 60% of present Nigerians' 180 million population, who are millennials. And we want to see like a huge chunk of this basically interested in governance. But what do we have now, basically? We have less than 12% actively involved in the electoral process. That is actually poor conversion. Yeah. But we basically now want to see the role of tech in inspiring this. What is the problem? What is actually the problem? The problem can be summed up in one word, and that is apathy. A lot of young people will basically now say, I don't actually give a damn about like the political landscape. It hasn't benefited me. I haven't gained anything from it. So why should I care? Because and are they justified? I would say they are, because you've seen politicians fail them over and over again. These are young people basically who want to have access to opportunities, but yet again, these opportunities are not coming to them. One, maybe because of the mismanagement of like the political class, and they are disappointed. So they basically have taken their minds off the political landscape. But we see that with tech, basically, we can cause that shift. Now, from the traditional narratives up to utilizing and developing like a new breed of woke millennials. I know young people here are used to the word woke. Yeah? So we basically want to develop a new generation of woke millennials who basically will take their future in their hands and now determine what happens in the political landscape. And we can do that through tech. So you have like tech now being that bridge between young people and governance. And how can we actually do this? Is if we apply tech to the 3 stages of our electoral process. So from pre-elections to post-elections, to elections proper, and to post-elections. So we'll talk about like pre-elections. Pre-elections, you basically have focus on things like the PVC campaign, the political messages, campaign manifestos, blueprints, working documents, things that ordinarily young people we are not too concerned about, things that we basically didn't actually care. How many of us actually know like your local government chairman? I can tell you that I can tell you it's pretty hard. And you basically hear that young people do not actually know this. They do not care. That's why they do not go the extra mile to actually find out this. So you have young people who don't know the local government chairman, who neither do they know like their councillors, how many councillors are in their wards, and like the identity of these councillors. But we want to actually change all this because we want to see conversion now from people who basically are involved in these different stages of our electoral process. So from pre-elections, we'll be able to see conversations on social media right about now. We've seen campaigns from celebrities, from organizations jumping on and now instigating youth to basically go and get their PVCs. Because that is the first step. You basically have to have a tool before you go to the farm. So before you vote, you basically have to have your PVCs. So we've seen conversations on social media which have been hugely successful because they've been hitting the right message. They've been hitting the right message on the right platform, on social media, which is a tech platform. So we have like youths now become interested, go out to get their PVCs in numbers. I was actually surprised when I went to get mine with the population of young people there who were basically like, oh, I want to actually do this. I want to actually get involved. Yeah. So we can see like the impact of technology in this phase. Young people are out there online now asking questions. Oh, Mr. Man, you're coming out, right? What do you want to do? Do you have this on a working document? Are there timelines? Are there deliverables? So they're asking questions that would actually mean that they want to be serious about the electoral process. And we now see the role of tech. But again, we still have that apathy to phase 2, which is elections proper. So because of that apathy, because we hear words like, oh, my vote, does it really count? Does it count? I go out there to vote, and at the end, the ballot box is stolen. So does my vote really count? So you basically won't see conversion now from stage 1 to stage 2 because of this doubt, this trust issue right now in the voting stage. And so, but how can tech actually solve this? Again, I was quite happy, I was excited when I heard Kaduna State government incorporate tech in the voting process. They were like the first state to have like an e-voting process. I was happy. Oh yeah, I didn't get like the full specific, but I was happy when I heard the headline. I was like, yeah, we're really doing this. So we're getting tech involved. E-voting should be like the next best thing to happen to us. Once we can actually guarantee the integrity of the voting process, we'll see more conversion from pre-elections to the election phase. People will basically get their PVC and look forward to voting. So what you have right now are youths who have gotten their PVCs, but are getting it for the wrong reasons. So what I used to do something way back when I was used to go back to First Act to see my parents, was that I used to visit newspaper stands. And what I tell like politicians that I've interacted to, few politicians I've interacted to, is that if you want to get the pulse of like the youthful population, there are 3 places you can basically go to, and you get that for free without paying any consulting agency. And one is newspaper stands. 2 is sporting centers, sporting bet centers. Then 3 is like a taxify office. So you basically see driver partners who basically want a better future, come in, they can drive, they have cars, come in and they talk. Young guys who basically have been laid off by previous companies, but they want to actually do something, and they know that with a sharing economy, they can have a car, put it on the platform, and make money instantly. So you basically hear them talk. You basically hear of the aspirations for this country. So those are the 3 places you can basically go and now get like this needed feedback. So once you get there, you would hear words coming out from youth. Oh, I've gotten my PVC, but man, I really don't know when the embassy will come you. This is why I got it, so that I can use it as a form of identification. So yeah, they're actually, because they do not trust the voting process. And once we can now guarantee integrity of the voting process through tech, we will see people who would now trust that stage. They know that they can go to vote, and the vote basically is instantly transmitted to like INEC collection center. I can see this in real time. I basically trust this process. And once you can now see this transition, the 3rd phase, which is like the post-election, which is real governance, you will see leaders who have now been raised to be accountable, because they know that the system is like foolproof. Basically, they know they are accountable to this system. It's inspired by tech, it's driven by young people. So I have to be accountable, or else these guys basically will boot me out through the ballot box. So you see stuff like, oh, let me do stuff, let me actually get to work real fast. Let me incorporate tech in my governance. Let me get so many young guys in that will actually now replicate the successes in tech in governance. So you have that, and you see that the country would actually be better for it. And this is actually through tech. So looking at the next slide, which actually talks about the messaging, which is actually very, very key in actually now reaching out to young people through tech. You basically have to get the messaging right. So you look at, you basically have to answer 2 key questions, which is, what's in it for me? Young people, like I say, basically are concerned about self. So they want this question answered. And if you can answer it, there should be no threats. Oh, get your PVC before 30th or else. People will say that today. Yeah, but when you actually tell them the benefits, you're getting it right to actually rewrite your future, to make, to actually open up more opportunities. They now become more attracted to this appeal. So you basically have to actually answer this question for them. Then again, the outsider narrative. Young people do not like politicians. I can tell you for a fact. Yeah, from interactions, they do not like politicians. So if you can actually come with that outsider narrative, oh, I'm basically not a politician, this is what I've done, this has been my track record, and I want to actually do stuff. Young people will be attracted to you because they see you as not being part of the problem, but now a solution. And that was this is actually one of the biggest things that actually pushed Trump to actually win the US election, because he came in as an outsider. He actually came in with this narrative. So once we can actually add this messaging components to tech, you will now get a lot of young people involved from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3. And our country will be better for it. So yeah, so I would round up with this. The problems of our country may seem so enormous. We basically will hear of so many challenges day by day, but the solution is pretty simple, and it lies in tech. So it is on us as young people who are owners of tech, who are most comfortable using it, to embrace it, to use it more, and drive positive change in every area of governance. Thank you, and may God bless Nigeria.